You're live now.
Okay, so a very good morning to all the students who are present here today, along with Yogesh sir, TPO, NBN, and Chetan sir, TPO, SKNSIT Lonavla. I'm very thankful to NBN for this opportunity. It's been a long time we've been discussing that we need to conduct a session on how to prepare for placements and how to build a profile. It might be a little bit late for the students who are in final year, but I'm presuming that you've done a little bit in your first 3 years of engineering, and you should have, you should be kind of placement ready. Now, if you remember the last webinar that was conducted by Pitambare sir, he spoke about what are the different opportunities central placement cell brings for the students of Sinhgad institutes. To begin with, as the name suggests, we are central placement cell. We cater equally to each and every student who's interested in being considered for placements. So by now you have registered for our placement activity. You must have been participating in some activities here and there. So yes, it does not matter which college you come from, right? Currently we are in NBN today. Irrespective of the college you're considered for placements, interest is your choice. Eligibility is the criteria set by the recruiters. On our part, we do our level best to make sure that you are prepared well for placements, and we bring all the top-notch brands along with interesting profiles which will help you grow as well as learn and express yourself. So Pitambare sir spoke in detail about the placement procedure and the policies and the companies. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about the profiles that you need to build. I'm going to talk about how do you prepare to attend the placement drive, especially in this situation of the pandemic where placement drives are being conducted virtually. How do you prepare for them? I'm going to shed some light on that. I'm Jayesh. I'm the Deputy Dean for Central Placement Cell for Engineering. I'm the Dean for Central Placement Cell for MBA for Business Administration. And for those of you know me from the higher studies webinars, I also head the international operations at Sinhgad Institutes. I've been associated with Sinhgad for around 9 years. I'm a faculty in mechanical engineering at Sinhgad College of Engineering. And I started into this placement journey being associated with the central placement cell for, it's been around 3 years now that I've been associated. And to give you some more brief about the structure of the CPC, at every college, we have a training placement officer. At every department, we have a training placement faculty coordinator. So it's my humble request to the students to make sure that you create a rapport and you build a bond with your training placement officer, in this case, Yogesh sir, and your department's training placement officer, because they are the people who are going to share you the information. If you need any immediate help, they are the people who are going to provide that help. You need to understand that while they will try their level best to help you out, you need to remain proactive, and you need to make sure that you remain connected with them so that you are shared the vital information. End of the day, when you get placed this year for your graduation next year, it is your dream that is going to be realized, and we are only here to help you realize that dream. So please remain proactive. Yogesh sir, can you please go to the next slide, please? Yogesh sir? Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so till Yogesh sir goes to the next slide, if you have any questions, the chat window is open. Please drop the questions there, and we will take them through this session as well as at the end of the session as well. So like I said, today I'm going to spend some time on how do you kind of present your profile or build your profile after, and how do you prepare for the placement. Students, you need to understand this very well, that preparation for placement matters a lot. We can only bring you companies. You might have heard about all those magic figures, the great figures of central placement cell, that every year we place 2,500 students. Every year the average package is 4.5, the highest package is 30 odd lakhs. But unless and until you prepare for placements, things are not going to improve for you. So that is something that you need to remember and understand that unless you prepare, these numbers are not going to happen in your case. Okay. Now, what we've done is we've divided this profiling sessions into two types. One type is for students who come from circuit branches. Another type is for students who come from non-circuit branches. So as far as circuit branches is concerned, we consider IT, computer, and ENTC. And today the crowd that we have is IT, computer, and ENTC. What I've done is in my presentation, I've taken some references and you'll come to get to know them as well. But to begin with, if we talk of India and how India is booming in the industrial sector when it comes to Industry 4.0, the industries that are booming are, of course, IT is booming big time, healthcare, then there is e-commerce, there is retail industry, as we call as e-commerce, then there is tourism industry, and finally energy, power and gas industries, as we call. These are the industries which are doing amazingly well in India. Now, why is that happening? That is happening simply because Indians are well known in the field of science and technology. So the world expects us to not only offer product or services in that field. So one thing that has to be very clear in the student's mind is that when it comes to placement, if you want to be placed, then you need to look at where the need is. Based on the need, the supplies are offered. If there is no need, why would the supplies be offered? The students from mechanical always ask us that why are you asking us to register for IT based companies? One reason there is the need in IT is big. Secondly, the need in mechanical is less. But the products that IT would build or the services that IT would offer, they would majorly be for a mechanical application. So we expect a mechanical engineer to apply. Okay. So it's not that we do not have companies from mechanical. We have. But coming to you people today who come from the circuit branches, if we look at how IT industry is flourishing in India, the first thing that anyone could look at is the GDP. As of now, IT contributes to our GDP up to 8%, and these are true figures. And it is expected that that contribution will go up to 10% by 2025, and it's a big, big contribution. When we look at India as an agricultural nation where 50% of our population works in the field of agri, 10% contribution to the GDP by IT by 2025 is big. And the reason why I look at 2025 is today we are in 2021, and in 2022, you people are going to be joining these IT companies. So in 3 years, the GDP contribution is going to be because of you. Okay. Now, thereafter, if we look at India's IT's competencies, our competencies in service sector, our competencies in product sector, and our strengths in that has led to foreign investments, FDI, as we say. So the foreign direct investment in India is majorly in IT sector. So if you look at the current numbers, then just between April 2000 to September 2020, close to $60 billion US dollars have been. So the investment, the FDI has been close to $60 billion. So think of how much the inflow is. And that is simply because of what Indian IT industry offers to the world. Okay. And now this is something that is very, very important. When you're going to build your profile, you need to understand you're going to work in a global environment. You're going to work for a global market. So your skill set should match the global market. You cannot just say that my skill sets match the Indian market. It is not going to help out. So coming back, IT sector ranks second in FDI inflows as far as India is concerned. Now, like I said, this is because of our competencies in the field of IT, our strengths in the field of IT. What has slowly been also happening is if you look at how our IT companies are integrating with, let's say, mechanical companies for digital manufacturing, how they are showcasing their skill sets in data science or in robotic process automation, RPA, as it is called, or in blockchain or in AI. These developments, the strengths in these technological areas has helped India acquire projects from the foreign countries. So it is not just projects from Indian industries which require IT support. Basically, we are into IT support, whether it is a product or a service. It's IT support that we offer. But it is not just for Indian industries, but it is for the entire globe that we offer support. Now, this should be the driving point for all of you who are listening to me today. IT in India is doing amazingly well. It is booming, and it is not because IT has been rigid. IT has been agile. IT has been agile to how the world is changing. Like, COVID-like situation, people thought IT is going to go down, but then data science helped there. Data science, for example, is helping us understand how the COVID wave is going to go from 2, 3, 4, who's going to be affected, how the vaccine is going to help, and so on and so forth. Okay, so rest assured, IT industry is doing very well. As long as you have the skill sets, you should find a job, and that is where profile matters a lot. Okay, so next slide, please. Yogesh sir, next slide, please. Okay, great. So this I've taken from IBEF. IBEF is basically an organization in India. What they do is they've integrated industry and investments in industry and how that is helping our economy. So it's a government body, and I would recommend all the students to visit this website, ibef.org. On that, you'll find lots of great case studies on how investment in India in different sectors is booming. What does that mean to our freshers? What does that mean to the market? What does that mean to the growth of India, and so on and so forth? So, if you look at IBEF, you would realize that they talk about advantage India, and it is truly advantage India right now as far as IT is concerned. So it talks about the demand, it talks about the global footprint, it talks about the competitive advantage, and it talks about the policy support. So, for example, the Indian government is supporting IT big time. Our engineering colleges are providing the demographic dividend, as we call it, the IT candidates who can fulfill the dreams of these IT companies along with their own dreams, who can offer the skill sets to these IT companies to meet the demands of the world. So, it is overall advantage India. Next slide, sir. Yogesh, sir, next slide, please. Yogesh sir, next slide, please. Okay. Now that we've spoken about how IT is going to play a major role, there are so many examples that can be given. For example, you look at MG Hector today. When it comes to the roof of the MG Hector, we just give a voice command, hello MG, open the sunroof, and the sunroof opens. It's an integration of IT and mechanical engineering. Okay, now with that integration it opens up possibly gazillions of opportunities for students who've got the IT skill sets. Okay, so let's just quickly talk about what does the industry expect. Now what happens is when the market is dynamic and it is competitive, then for a industry, it may be any industry for that sake, but because we are predominantly today talking to circuit branch students and we are talking to them about IT industry, then for a IT industry, getting the right kind of candidate. What is the right kind of candidate? It's a relative term. It's not that easy to define a right candidate, because a right candidate should have right skills and cultural values. Now that becomes a challenge. What are right skills? Some would say that you should be an expert in data science. Some would say that you should be an expert in augmented reality and virtual reality. Some would say you should be an expert in IoT. Some would say you should be an expert in AI, machine learning, robotic process automation, cyber security, and so on and so forth. The skill sets are wider. But what is important is if you are aiming to do good in the field of cybersecurity, for example, then you should have developed your skill sets in cybersecurity. And that is what right skill set means here. So, like the industry finds it challenging to get the right kind of candidates, simply because if they do not have the right kind of candidates, how will they have projects? If they do not have projects, how will they have customers? If they do not have customers, how will the business boom? If the business will not boom, how will they survive? So their survival is not just dependent on getting the projects, but their survival is also dependent on getting people who can work on those projects. Okay. Now, at the same time, preparing a candidate to have the right kind of skill sets is a challenge in itself as well. Why is it a challenge? For an academic institute, for example, you take any academic institute. See, academic institutes impart knowledge through a syllabus, and people have their issues with the syllabus. We understand. But syllabus, if you ask me, is a common minimum highway. It's a highway on which everyone runs. So, some of you are Ducati, some of you are KTM, some of you are trucks, some of you are cars, some of you are Lamborghinis, some of you are Tata Nano. Everyone is different, because God has gifted us with a brain which works differently. The processing speed of our brains are different. So the syllabus is being made considering that there is possibly a win-win situation for everyone. And syllabus changes every 4 years, as we know. But the technology, especially the IT technology, is changing day in, day out. And it is not possible that syllabus can cater to all that technological change. So that is why preparing a student with skills that would match the industry requirement is always going to be a challenge. Now, does that mean that we don't prepare the student or we stop? No. There are different avenues that we can walk upon, and we can prepare the students for these challenges. And that is something that we are going to discuss today. Now, along with this, the latest challenge that we are being posed is that of the pandemic. Until 2 years ago, placement drives, which the IT industry would be conducting, I remember, and some of you, I don't know, if you've been a coordinator for the central placement cell, you would remember that our placement drives were offline, and it would be around 2,000 students on a day, 50 interview rooms, 30 group discussion cabins, and so on and so forth, and 4 days of hectic process. But because of pandemic, we cannot meet each other physically, and that is why the drives are now virtual. There's an advantage associated with virtual drives, and that is that now the recruiters can reach to much wider and deeper pool of qualified candidates. But then the challenge for the students is also big. Might be previously they could only meet few students from a particular college, but now they can go across India. For example, if you take a TCS or a Wipro, they have their own national employability test. So they reach out to every engineer across India who are interested in applying for the jobs at TCS or Wipro. And slowly that is how it is. So virtual placement process, there is an advantage, but there's also a disadvantage. So overall, when we look at the industry, they're basically looking out for a candidate who can make a difference to the organization with his competencies and with his skills and with his ability to remain agile. And I'm going to come to that as well. But primarily, on the previous slide, there was one bullet that I mentioned, and that is that IT industry would expect you to code. It is mandatory. Might be 3 years ago, it was a privilege if you could, be an expert programmer using C, C++. Now it's not a privilege; it's a mandatory requirement. So everyone, and this applies to every engineer should know how to code. Even if you take mechanical industry, robots have to be programmed so that they can behave intelligently. Because they are mechanical machines, they cannot do it by themselves. So programming is must. Okay. So my first takeaway for you for today is please make sure that all of you are good programmers. Okay. And practice programming. Let's go to the next slide, please. So now if we start decoding this in further detail, what does the industry expect? And you can write it down as well. Like I said, the first thing, which is primary, there are going to be lots of skill sets that we can talk about, skill sets that are associated with your technical aspects, skill sets that are associated with your personality, skill sets that are associated with your communication skill. But the most important skill set for any industry today is that the candidate should remain agile. Yogesh sir, if you could go to the next slide, please. So till Yogesh sir goes to the next slide, the first thing that is important is being agile, and that is why I've marked it in orange for you. If you are not agile, you will not learn the technology. You cannot rest on the existing profile that you have. You need to keep learning every day. Self-learning is important. Now, the first expectation from an IT industry is that students should have the foundation knowledge. Whatever you learn in your academics, that is called as your foundation knowledge. Your foundation knowledge and the application of it is very, very important. I'll give you a small illustration here, and there's a reason for it. Let's come to the reason first. Some of you might say that, yes, we've got foundation, but where do we apply? Because of COVID, we are not able to go outside. Let's take for example. I hope you can see it. I've got a remote control for AC, and I've got a smartphone. I want to put together an image processing algorithm which gives me the output. So it takes the image and gives me the output that yes, this is a remote control and this is a smartphone. What you can do is at your home, you can take an image, and using on your laptop, you can program an image processing algorithm which does all the different processes, and it gives you an output that yes, this is a remote and this is a smartphone. You don't have to go and intern anywhere for that. So believe me, guys, if you believe in yourself and if you are ready to work hard, there's always a way out. We all understand that the situation is not conducive, the situation is difficult. We understand that. But you cannot remain static in that situation. You need to keep building your profile. Your profile, end of the day, is nothing but this brain full of ideas. As long as you've got the brain full of ideas and you're able to speak of those ideas and using your magic fingers, you're able to apply those ideas, you're going to be required by the outside world. You'll have a job and whatnot. But if you're not able to do that, the world is going to move on. The world does not stop for anyone. So the foundation knowledge and the application of it is must. So that is primary, and this is there which the companies they come down very hard on this aspect. Then it comes to people and team orientation. Like I said, it's going to be a global world that you're going to work in. When you work in that world, people come from different backgrounds, different cultures, different upbringings. How do you use your personality, your interpersonal skills, your soft skills to work in a team like structure is going to be very, very critical. Then self-management, self-development, and self-awareness. So that is what self-management is about. So you should not be waiting for someone to tell you that please develop yourself. It's good for the industry. You develop yourself for your own benefit. See, you need to understand this. Tomorrow, if you have the skill sets, like I said, you'll have a job. So the gain is yours. You don't have the skill sets, you don't have a job. The pain is yours. After you get the job, again, the technology is going to keep on evolving. You need to develop yourself, and for that, your own awareness is very, very critical. You need to understand that I'm doing this for myself. Yes, the company is going to benefit, but if the company benefits, I benefit as well. Okay. So self-management is very, very critical. Industry expects you to have that. They do not want to push you to do something. You should say that I want to do this by myself. Then having an analytical mindset and a learning orientation is critical. Being creative and innovative. Like unless and until you're creative and innovative, how will you come up with a product? Might be 20 years ago, if someone had told you that you can open a sunroof by a voice command, you will be like, why do I need to do that? But today, if you get a car which is driverless, that is creativity and innovation. And once that sets in and we start using that technology, then possibly we realize the importance. But unless you're creative and innovative, things are not going to work out. Business and entrepreneurial orientation, that is important as well. Because you're not going to just stick to a company and, for example, keep doing development for them. Someday you're going to get into sales. Someday you're going to get into operations. Someday you're going to get into finance if you want to grow. You look at all the CEOs of the top-notch companies. They were engineers to start with, but then they build the business ideas. Entrepreneurial because they know how to start a business. So that is important. Cross-cultural orientations and social sensitivity, very critical. Like, for example, if someone comes from a background where, let's say, religion matters a lot, you need to understand how to speak to that person. You cannot be vocal. You cannot hurt someone. So understanding cultures, like I remember, when I was in Australia and I was doing my PhD at that time, I remember on a cricket field, if a question is asked about who's better between Ponting and Tendulkar, you have to be intelligent enough to understand. You need to, in the culture, cricket and footy, which is basically American football or rugby as we know it, we used to participate. So participating in the cultures is critical, because unless you do that, you would not grow, and unless you grow, how would the company grow? Dealing with uncertainty and change. The biggest uncertainty right now is COVID. How do you deal with that? When you're working with your mates, do you just crib about how life is bad, or do you keep a cheerful face and you remain positive? If you are positive, your team is positive. If your team is positive, your company is positive. So that is important. Integration of technology, communication, and data, very important. For example, the other day I read about Accenture working with Ducati to put together a machine learning algorithm for engine testing. So there you integrate technology, communication, and data. You're not just going to keep programming, you're going to apply that somewhere, right? People are hearing that if something has to be produced, you need a CAD model for that. The CAD model is stored in the cloud. From there, it goes to a digital factory and gets printed. 3D printers. It's all integration. Globalization, for example. Like I said, India's FDI in IT is big. So we are global in IT. So when globalization happens, we need to make sure that we have the skill sets to meet that. And finally, you need to have solution orientation and problem solving. See, end of the day, we are going to offer a solution for any problem. But is it a cost effective solution? Does that solution make sense? And so on and so forth. You cannot just sit there and expect your boss to give you a solution. You are being paid to offer a solution and implement it. So you need to have the abilities to problem solve as well. Okay. But like I said, all this is going to continue to evolve as far as you are concerned if you remain agile. You take anyone in a industry today, even at the age of 50, they're learning something every day. They are gathering the experience. That is because they're agile. Once you become rigid, you're not required by the industry. Please understand this. Next slide, please. Yogesh sir, next slide. Thank you. So now here we talk about emerging technologies. The reason why I've put this slide is because students always try to develop themselves in emerging technologies. Like I said, in IT industry, the biggest is your programming skills. That is must. But then yes, if you have technological orientation, like for example, if you can program a deep learning algorithm in AI, or in machine learning, you can program, let's say, fuzzy logic or neural networks, it's going to be amazing. If you can work in IoT, and so you can do some IoT based integration of sensors, amazing. If you can do something in augmented reality, virtual reality, big data, there's so many fields, you know them. But if you look at this source that I picked the data from IDC, they speak about how in the next 5 years, IT is going to concentrate its percentage on different areas. So 46% is basically on technologies. Then there is software development, there is hardware infrastructure, there's technical services, and there's telecom services. But yes, people are looking for their future employees to be good in the newer technologies. And when I said foundation and application, if you say that, I've taken a course in machine learning, then please make sure that whatever you've learned in that course, you apply it to a real world problem or a real world application and get the results out of it. See, the results might not be accurate, the results might not be precise, but you have applied it. When you apply a technology, or when you apply an idea or a skill, only then you know how good are you at applying it, and then rest is history. Like for example, if you learn communication and you don't present yourself anywhere, how would you know how good a communicator are you? And that is where application matters. So these are the emerging technological areas. Now, with this background, let's get into profiling. Next slide, please, sir. So when we talk about profiling, then students always have this confusion. Should I, write my profile as a CV or a resume? Now, what is profile? Profile is basically, it is what you are as a person, as a professional. So it presents that about you. But there are two ways of presenting it. One is through a CV, which is a detailed presentation of your professional life. And second is a resume, which is an abstract presentation of your professional life. Now you have to decide, depending on the job that you apply for, you decide whether it has to be a CV or a resume. That is one. Secondly, depending on whether you are an experienced candidate or a fresher. Normally, freshers should have a resume and not a CV, because your professional life has only been of 4 years of undergraduate studies. So you would not have achieved, you would have, I don't deny that you worked hard to achieve something, but compared to someone who's got 15 years of experience, you would have less to present. So that is why resume is something that you should write. It is mandatory that when you apply for a recruitment drive, you all have a resume. Now, in this, some students go on Google and take a template and make a resume. What's wrong with that? The part that is wrong there is you are now using Google's brain and not your brain. If you ask yourself, then you will get the answers, students. You understand yourself better. So you should write your own resume. Talk to peers like your training placement officer, your senior faculty members, and get their opinions on your resume so that there are no mistakes that you've made. But primarily, you should be writing your resume. What should be there in a resume? Objective statement. Now, for example, if you're applying for a role of a data scientist level 1 in a particular company, then your objective statement should have that word data science in it. It cannot have a word that a generic sentence, I would like to make my life better in a dream organization. That cannot be the case. Okay. So in resume, the first thing is your objective statement, and it should be different for different companies. So please do not have the same resume shared for every company. Look at what they are looking for in a candidate and then prepare your resume. Might be some skills that you have, they might not need them. Some other skills that you have, they might need them. So your resume has to be different. Okay. After your objective statement is your educational qualification. So it would be your percentages in engineering. You might write a small line about courses that mattered. For example, if you know that the recruiter is going to want to have someone who's learned, let's say, big data or let's say IoT, then you can mention the courses in IoT that you have done. Thereafter, you mention your projects, your seminars, your co-curricular, extracurricular achievements, awards, recognitions, and that's it. But all this should align with the company's requirement. So please don't have the same resume again and again. Okay. So once you have a profile, you would write it as a CV or a resume, but for your level, as of now, it should be resume. Secondly, what is required to make a profile? Developing a profile or a portfolio, as people call it these days, is basically doing activities day in, day out. It's like, I always tell the students that, for example, if you want to gain some muscles in your shoulder, you go to the gym. You cannot just gain muscles on day one. For that, you have to go to the gym every day or every alternate day, whatever your instructor prescribes to you. But you have to go there possibly thrice a week for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, and you have to put in certain number of hours, and then the muscles are in, right? So similarly here, for a profile, you need to put together a schedule, and for that schedule to be executed, you need to have a timetable that is daily. When you do that over a period of time, then your profile would be developed. For example, in your profile, you're going to speak about your communication skills. So communication skills are not going to improve overnight. For that to happen, you will need to practice communication skills day in, day out, and then things would improve. Where does profile help? And this is possibly something that you would want to know. Profile helps with variable packages. I don't know if you've done your own research. If not, I would suggest, you all know which companies visit Sinhgad. You've been told about it. Go to their websites, find out how they recruit, find out do they offer the same package irrespective of your talent, or is the package different? Package these days is dependent on what your profile is. If your profile deserves a basic package because you only know how to program and you only know how to speak, then you'll get a basic package. If you know how to program, if you know how to implement, let's say you worked extensively in big data or IoT or cybersecurity or algorithms or whatever it may be, then you will get a better package. Companies have a variable package, and variable package is dependent on your profile, and profile is dependent on what effort have you put in to develop yourself. Okay, so profile matters a lot. So next slide, please. So what is going to be required? If someone was to tell you what should you do to put together a profile, first aspect, academics plays a very, very important role. Like I said, academics help you learn the foundation knowledge. The faculty are peers. You've got more talent. We all accept it. Thankfully, you've got a technology like a smartphone next to you. So it's very easy for you to learn these days. So you're talented, but we've got the experience. And with our experience and your talent, you can do wonders. Remember this always. So role of academics is very, very critical in profiling. Academics, by attending the lectures, you'll be able to understand the concepts, the fundamentals. Along with that, you'll be able to then not only apply those. If you've understood, you can apply easily, right? But you'll also be able to score well in the exam. Companies, when they recruit, they have a criteria. Percentage is a criteria. Irrespective of COVID, it will remain as a criteria. I know some students have been asking, because of COVID, I could not perform well. Unfortunately, guys, we can only say sorry. Yes, what we can do is, if you are going through a rough phase, get in touch with us. We will help you out. But when you go for a placement drive and there you complain that, I could not do well because of COVID, the time has gone. Not much can be done. And that is where I said your talent and our experience is going to help you. Our experience tells us that things should be done on time. At your age, you do not understand what happens if you don't do things on time. So academics plays a vital role in your profile development. For example, academics will help you do a final year project. A good project matters a lot because a project speaks of how well have you learned your engineering and how well can you apply that. That is the gist of your 4 years of engineering, your project, your seminar, and so on and so forth. So please make sure you take your academics seriously. I know you only have 1 year left, but in that 1 year, take it seriously. Make sure your percentages go up. Make sure you do not have any backlogs. Make sure you do your projects by yourself and don't buy them from anywhere. Make sure your seminar, you do it by yourself. And all these things that you do, they should be in the area in which you want to find a job. It cannot happen that you want to apply to a recruiter for robotic process automation, so building robots, and you've not done anything in your engineering on that. How will they believe that you can work with them and build robots tomorrow? Okay, so please make sure that whatever you do in your engineering, like for example, now you might be deciding your project, please make sure you take your project seriously. It should be in your area of interest, an area in which you would want to apply for jobs tomorrow. Along with that, project is a group project, so you will know what is required to work in a team, cross-cultural and all that we spoke about. So academics plays a vital role. But like I also said, academics has a limitation that it uses a syllabus which is constrained, and there's not much that can be done. But then how do you self-learn? There are workshops that you can attend. There are training programs that you can attend. There are short-term courses that you can undertake. Like recently we had floated Coursera. The Central Placement Cell helps you all along in this. We conduct lots of workshops, lots of trainings, lots of short-term courses, and we request that you participate in them. What it will do is you will not only learn technologies which are not covered in the syllabus and are latest technologies, but secondly, after you've learned, you'll be able to apply them. And in the end, these workshops, trainings, courses that we float, they have assessments. Assessments are equally important. Assessment speaks of how well have you learned that particular technology through such things. So what will happen then is it will assess how good you are. So you will be able to enhance your domain knowledge. And syllabus, yes, syllabus will do its part, but through participation in these workshops, trainings, and short-term courses, you'll be able to improve on your domain knowledge, and you will be the right kind of candidate technically that the industry is after. We also float foreign language trainings. We have an association where we bring you trainers who can teach you German, Japanese, Spanish. Do that. When IT industry goes global, let's say you get your employer gets a project in Spain and he sends you there. Learning Spanish would help you. You can tell your boss that, not only I'm good in domain, which you know by now, but I also know Spanish. You basically become multifaceted. Like, for example, I'm currently carrying this smart watch. It has got multiple faces, right? Depending on the time of the day or what mood we are in, we change the faces. It's the same in the technical world, my friends. It's the same in the industry. You need to don multiple faces. You have multiple faces which are true, then you would be in demand. So please attend these. Thereafter is seminars, internships, mini projects. Some students tell me that they could not apply the technology. At home, build mini projects. I gave you small example of the image processing algorithm that you can apply. Other than that, if let's say you want to decide who enters your room and who does not, on the room, put a LED. And you have enter, not enter as the two LED strips. You have a camera. You capture the face of the person. Thereafter, if the face does not match with your lookup table, that means it is not the face that you want to allow entry, you can say do not enter. There you go. It's an automation, right? And for the person you want to permit entry, you say enter, and you have a solenoid actuator which opens the door. See, there are n number of things that you can do, my friends. N number of things. You just need to remain proactive and believe that you can do it. Like I said, it might not be accurate, it might not be precise, but you would have applied. And that is what the world wants to see. Can your hands apply? Very, very important. So make sure that you not only undergo the seminar that is prescribed in your syllabus, but you also undertake internships. We have an association with Internshala which helps you there. So if you've not yet done an internship, please go ahead and do that. Mini projects, you can do them at home. You can do them with the faculty. Multiple seminars, you can participate in some poster competitions. There's so many competitions that keep coming up here and there. There are hackathons, for example. Now I'm talking of extracurricular and co-curricular. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we could not do the current up. But there's so many virtual competitions that keep on happening. These might be, competitions that help you present your communication skills, your personality, your domain knowledge. Please do that. All these things together are going to help you put together a profile which would confirm to the recruiter when you present it through a CV that you are the right kind of candidate. You've got all the competencies. You have got good communication skills. You are able to work in a group. You are able to show your leadership qualities and whatnot. But this is what is important. Otherwise, what will happen is if we only consider the first bullet and you've not done any of this, then when you apply to the recruiter, what will you have? You'll only have percentage to discuss. That, I have 70%, I have done a project. And if the recruiter has 10 different profiles to pick from, and out of the 10, you are a weaker one, you might not stand a chance. Or your package might be lowered, you might come down to a basic package. So you still have time, my friends. Our recruitment drives start in the month of August. We've done few, I don't deny that, but majorly we'll start somewhere in July, August. So you still have a month. At least undergo some short-term course or do a small internship of 3-4 weeks. You'll get to learn a lot. That is very, very important. Your profile has to stand out. And like I said, please make sure that you take your academics seriously. Very, very important. And in all this, as I said, internships, we have association with Internshala through the central placement cell, through our recruiting partner. We keep on sharing lots of internship opportunities. Keep checking them, and whatever is applicable to you, apply for it. We offer lots of trainings. Like recently, we offered training in Python for AI, Python for machine learning. We are preparing you for aptitude and whatnot. We are doing our bit, but you need to participate. And once the training is over, you need to practice. That is important. And when you do all this, so all these bullets that I've mentioned here, when you do them, then you will have a profile that would be sought out in the market. So next slide, please. Okay, now let's talk about the recruitment drive. First thing that is required in a recruitment drive is registration. And by now you all have registered with the central placement cell. When you register, you would have realized that you are entering the data. Let's say your percentages for your academics. Yes, we cross-check it, but it is primarily your responsibility that you're true and honest with your entries of the data. Let me tell you this. Let's take a scenario that you get placed with X recruiter. Then he asks you for all your academic transcripts. They get recorded in the computer, and the computer finds out that you've faked a particular entry. Your offer will be revoked and nothing will happen. There's nothing anyone can do. For example, if the recruiter has said that you should have 60% aggregate in the first 3 years of engineering, so first year plus second year plus third year, the aggregate should be 60. If you have a 59.93 and you think that, oh, it's only 0.07 of a difference, who's going to find it out? I'll make it 60. The computer is going to find it out and they will revoke your order. So please remember that when you register, you enter the true and the honest data. You are responsible for any mistakes in it. Thereafter, the assessments happen. What we do is, like Pitambara sir has mentioned previously, we will share you the job description. We'll ask you to go through it. And only if you are interested, you will register. As simple as that. And then we inform the recruiter that, yes, these many students are interested in being considered for the drive. Please go ahead. The drive will include these sub-bullets, either all of them or some of them. It depends on the company, changes from company to company. But you should prepare for each and every. It cannot happen that, I'll wait for the recruiter to tell what their assessment criteria are and then I'll start preparing. You won't have time for that. So preparation for aptitude. So in assessment, there might be aptitude assessment, coding assessments, domain assessments, communication assessments. Every company these days have their own platform and they assess. So you need to crack that. Unless you crack the assessment, you'll not go to the next round. You might be the best bet to be placed, but unless you crack the assessment, you'll not improve. Students always tell me, oh, it's only aptitude. Don't worry, I'll crack it. It's such a, it's a walk in the park for me because it includes mathematics from high school. But it includes mathematics from high school, something that you did 5 years ago. You don't have practice of. It's like driving, if you're not used to driving for years and then suddenly you get a car, you take time to get used to it, don't you? So initially you start driving slow, and once you get a hang of it, then you drive faster and you are under control of everything. But in case of a recruitment drive, you cannot attend for practice. Let me attend the first aptitude for practice, I'll see how I go and then I'll improve. No. You've lost the opportunity, as simple as that. So please make sure you prepare for all these assessments. And on the part of CPC, we are helping you. Yesterday, we started with some assessments, training, aptitude, and so on and so forth. And we're going to do that for everyone. And for the matter of fact, if you want to be considered for placements, you need to make sure that you attend all our trainings. Okay, as simple as that. The next one is group discussion. Group discussion could be on any and every topic. Other day, we were fired at by one of the HRs, and he said that your students were cheating in the group discussion. And we said, how? How can someone cheat in group discussion? It's a discussion on a topic. He said, no. After the group discussion, when questions were asked, they would Google the answer and then tell the answer. That cannot happen. And I'm going to come to that aspect as well. Cheating, if you cheat, you'll be out. You'll be blacklisted. Along with group discussion, interviews, the final interview happens. Now, because of the pandemic, everything is happening virtually. And looking at the numbers in Maharashtra and India, I think it would be safe to assume that till next few months, the drives will be virtual. And virtual drives require you to practice and prepare. They cannot just happen overnight that, you go for the drive and you get recruited. Okay. So next slide, please. Okay, now preparation for virtual recruitment. The first thing, do not cheat. I'm not saying that you are doing it purposely. At times it happens casually. At times you don't understand that, oh, this is called as cheating. At times you are so stressed out that you want to make sure that you get that job. You cheat. Please don't do it. You would know by now that you are so very intelligent to hack something, right? At the same time, the company is going to conduct the virtual recruitment drive. They have also implemented lots of algorithms such as Cloud Eye, and they can catch you. You know, your microphone is on, your camera is on, which browsers you visit, everything is checked. These days, when we go to one e-commerce website and purchase a product, in the next half an hour on every social media platform of ours, we get advertisements related to that product. Like, don't we? AI, very intelligent. We made it, engineers. So please do not cheat. If you do that, then you will be blacklisted not just by that company, but every company. They have their own database and they share it with everyone. So please don't cheat. Okay? That is first. Next, test your technology. Like today, before we went live, I am currently using a Mac, and on this platform, I could not run the PPT. So the Mac itself is not permitting me to, share the screen. So I had to request the other TPS to do that. And that is why after that we went live. After going live, had we checked out if the PPT can be shared and all that, it wouldn't have looked good, right? It kills the impression. So test your technology. Make sure your computer hardware, your computer software, your microphone, your camera, everything is working perfectly fine. And practice that, please. Don't just do it 10 minutes before. Practice it. You need practice. You cannot just go and attend a virtual drive without practicing. Now you might say that I'm at home, so I can have the discussion a little bit casually. No, you need to present your professional side. What does that mean? A formal attire. Like currently I'm doing this session, I'm dressed in a formal shirt. In your case, when you go for an interview, a formal shirt and a formal tie is must. For girls, formal shirts. Okay, there are lots of jokes that are being cracked on this formal attire, and you might have seen a lot on YouTube when someone stands up in a presentation or a group discussion online and he's wearing a shorts on the formal shirt. That might be okay till there, but tomorrow if you want to be recruited by the company, you make this silly mistake, you'll be out. I'll give you a small illustration. Our highest package is 34 lakhs. In that, there is a virtual internship of 1 month. It is expected that students create a small cubicle-like environment around the room where they are, and they participate in that virtual internship through that. One fine day, one of the candidate was in this cubicle, and he was participating in the internship, and suddenly his pet jumped onto his lap. That was thought of as unprofessional, which it is, because you are as if you're physically there in the internship. If this is how you behave, and if you don't take such things seriously, will not be considered. So formal attire and professional language is very, very important. It cannot happen that, to begin with, the recruiter is not going to crack a joke. But even if he does, you do not start blasting out in a big laughter. No, not permitted at all. So please make sure that you present a professional side of yours when you are in the recruitment process, even if you are at home. Prepare in advance. What does this mean? One illustration of this would be there are certain FAQs which are questions that are normally asked, frequently asked questions by a recruiter in an interview process. Prepare what your answer might be for such FAQs. I'm not saying that you should just mug everything in. It's always a good idea to prepare answer to certain questions. Like for example, if they say, why should we recruit you? Or what technologies have you learned and applied? You should have an answer prepared so that you do not miss out. Most of you are not at an age where you can speak extempore. You need a script. That is very, very important. Okay. And that is why preparation is important. Along with this, go and check the website of the company. I gave you illustration of how Accenture integrated with Ducati. There are many such illustrations. If you go to the website of these industries, they will tell you who their partners are, who they offer service to or their technology to. They will present certain case studies of theirs. They will present certain latest inventions that they have done, their social activities, and so on and so forth. So go and visit their website. It's going to tell you lots of information, because some of the questions the recruiter is going to ask you are going to be asked because they want to find out how serious are you about joining the company. And if you're serious, you've done your homework. And one homework involves you checking the website of the company. So prepare in advance, very important. And advanced preparation is also required for testing your technology, like I said. Then the next part, limit the distractions. You do not want any noise around you, any noise. Currently, I'm in a 4 BHK apartment, and there's no one in my house, so I don't have the headphones, the wired headphones on. But that's not a good sign. I know no one's going to come, so I've not got them. But always a good idea to go wired with the headphones. So noise, you should strictly tell your family members not to speak a word. That noise is going to distract. Whatever you're saying to the recruiter as an answer, he might not understand. And again, it speaks a lot of casual approach on your part in the interview process. It's a professional process that it is. The background. Please make sure that the background is lighter. Like I'm currently wearing a blue color shirt and the background is light. So I'm visible. So your background is very important. Don't go with a dark background. Okay, it's going to not make you present well, because end of the day you are mimicking a physical recruitment process through a virtual, right? So you need to be presented well. Thereafter, the lighting should be such that it falls on your face and not on the camera. So you should never have lighting at the back. You should have lighting on which is facing you, so that your face is illuminated. And similarly, the lighting in your room should be subtle and it should be clear. And finally, no foreign entry should be allowed. We've had this situation where the student has been removed from the process. Why? Because another face was recorded with him. So let's say I'm speaking right now and someone comes from the behind. If this happens with you, it will be presumed that someone is helping you through the recruitment process. You might say that it was my younger brother, knows nothing in engineering, my younger sister. I shouted at them that why did they enter? I live in a small house. None of these things are going to be accepted. So no foreign entries, please. Yogesh sir, next slide. So this is my last slide, which is tips. And as I said, please do not cheat. I'll say it again and again. You are going to lose the opportunity. Sinhgad is going to ruin its image. You are going to ruin your image. Please don't do that. Few tips. Practice on the platform. The platform might be Microsoft Teams. It might be Google Meet. It might be WebEx. It might be Zoom. Could be anything. Please practice. Prior to the interview, you can just do a Zoom call with your friends and whatever, but practice in a professional way, in a formal attire, and like I said, professional language. Keep a pen and paper next to you, because if the interviewer does ask you certain things, you can write down, oh, this is what he's asked me, or this is the information that I might need, and so on and so forth. It's always a good idea to have a pen and paper. If you are a left-handed person, then on your left-hand side. If you're a right-handed person, then on your right-hand side. Along with that, keep your documents as well. Always a good idea. You might not remember everything. So you might request the recruiter, can I just fall back on my document and answer this percentage criteria of yours? Could be anything. Next, the camera of your hardware, your computer, should be at arm's length, like it is right now. And the height of the camera should be such that you are talking to the camera. That is very important. And you need to practice that. We all hate it when we see our face. Most of us, we don't want to see our face. And we are just not able to concentrate when we speak, because we know that we are looking into ourselves, mirror images. So please make sure that the camera is at arm's length, because if the camera is closed, or if the camera is at an angle. There's so many issues, I've seen that, and you know it very well. What that means is, please do not give these do not attend a recruitment process using your smartphone. I know some of you might have issues and financial issues, I mean to say, and you cannot afford a laptop. Then please borrow it from your friend. But when you have a smartphone, then there are lots of issues that occur. You might hold your smartphone and then talk to it, and then you might look down. It might look on top of you, and so many issues. No. So camera at arm's length, and the height of the camera should be the height of your eyes, so that you are talking face to face. Okay. Wired headphones, very important. When you speak, make sure that you don't go for any flashy adjectives. It's an interview of your technical and professional abilities, not of your vocab. Okay. If the profile is of vocab, then yes, flashy adjectives is okay. But simple adjectives, clear and distinct pronunciation. So when you speak and when you put all these adjectives together in a sentence, you should be clear and you should be distinct in your pronunciations. Slow. Even I struggle a bit at times when I speak. I know I speak fast. So slow in your speech and short as far as your sentences are concerned. Because what is going to happen is, it's a virtual process. And through that virtual process of 10-15 minutes, the recruiter is going to try and gauge you. He is not able to see you physically, so he does not know how your hands are shaking or your heartbeat. When the physical interview happens, you capture a lot from the body language. Here, that is not possible. So it's important that when you speak simple adjectives, nothing flashy, clear and distinct pronunciations, slow in your speech and short in your sentences. You don't want your sentence to be a paragraph. It's an interaction, right? Next, make sure that you observe what the recruiter is saying. You observe his face, then you interpret, then you pause, and then you answer. All this has to happen. I'm not saying take hours for this action of answering, but don't jump onto the answer. Let the recruiter say what he has to say. Take a pause of certain milliseconds, understand what he's saying, and then answer the question. That will help you a lot, and you might not have an ill feeling later on, oh, I should not have said this. And finally, please don't give a big smile. Just a cheerful face and you should be fine. So these are some of the tips that you should follow. So today, to summarize, I've covered about profiling. I've covered about how to prepare for these virtual trials. And to end with, Central Placement Cell at Sinhgad Institutes is there to help you not just with your dream of getting recruited, but for that, the preparation aspect. And that is why we are conducting so many activities for you. But unless and until you become proactive, you become agile, and you practice all this, you're not going to improve. Believe me, students, everyone needs effort to improve. Everyone in the world. Please do that. It is high time you do that. We know you're struggling a bit. There is COVID, your academics is expecting you to attend lectures. There are, submissions to be made. You've got your INSEM exams, you've got your NSEM exams. All that is good. But that should not be a deterrent to not prepare for placement. You have to do all that, academics as well as placement preparation. All that has to be done. There's no other option for that. Please note this. And that is where a timetable and a schedule is important, and being positive about life is important. Okay? Along the way, we are there to help you out. We are just a phone call away. Any and every question that you may have, we're happy to answer that. So please take care of yourself, prepare yourself well so that your dream of getting placed in a top-notch recruiter is realized. The gain will be yours, the happiness will be ours and that of your parents, but your future would be taken care of. Okay? With this, I thank you for being patient listeners. Now, if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. So there is a question from Ashish Srivastava.
Mm-hmm.
If a person is not good at coding, or doesn't have that much interest. So what are the better alternatives for that?
Okay. Ashish, to be very honest with you, coding is must. Like I said, you take anything today. I gave example of this remote control. These days, not everyone uses remote control to regulate the temperature of the AC. There is an intelligent algorithm implemented there, and depending on the environment, the AC changes the temperature. Now that is the intelligent AC. To make it intelligent, there is a program. So please don't run away from program. There might be some reason because of which you are a bit skeptical or scared. Find what the reason is, seek help. But without programming, no one can survive in today's world. There will be lots of limitations. I'm not saying you'll not have a job, but everyone wants his dream to be realized. Dream of working in a top notch company, a Fortune 500, a Fortune 100, a Fortune 50. Programming is must, and that is why even school kids are doing it today. So I would still recommend you find why you do not like programming. Find a way out. At times it does happen. The way it is being taught becomes a issue because of which you start hating it. But learn to program a little bit. It will help you. If not, then you might have to move from technical to non-technical jobs. That is something that you'll have to do. But even in non-technical jobs, let's say if you get into marketing and sales, you have to do some data analysis. For that, you'll have to program using Excel. So programming is not going anywhere. So please work on it. If you need help, you can get in touch with us. Okay, next question.
Hello. So the next question is from Mahesh. If the internship is running, shall we mention it in his resume? That means it is not completed yet, but he is doing the internship. So should mention in the resume?
Okay, Mahesh, the first thing is if you're applying for a particular profile with a company, let's say the profile is they are looking for someone who's good at IoT, then the internship that you are doing and the experience that you are gaining out of it should be connected to IoT somewhere. Then mention it. So that is the first rule of thumb. Don't just mention something for the sake of it. It's not going to help you. And that is what I said, writing a resume is also an art. You should mention those skill sets which you know the company is looking for in a candidate. And every company mentions the skill set. Either they mention it in the job description or they would mention it on their website that this is what we do and this is what we look for. Or talk to peers. You can talk to your TPO and he will help you. Secondly, you can mention that you're currently interning. Like, when you are going to make your resume right now, you're going to say that you're currently in final year of engineering. Similarly, you can say that you're currently interning and you started the internship on so-and-so date. That's fine. No issues. But the internship should give you the experience which you know the recruiter is after. And that experience is going to help him decide whether he should recruit you or not.
The next question is from Suraj. It's again for the internship. What if we don't have internship?
Okay, what was the question? I could not get it.
What if we don't have internship? That means he doesn't have any internship as a credit. So what are the chances for him?
Okay, so Suraj, might be I missed on this. When I said that whatever foundation knowledge you have gained, you should have applied it. There are different ways you can showcase to the company that I have applied this knowledge. One way is through internship. Another way is through some mini projects or your final year project. But final year project is only one. Mini projects, you could do many. Okay. So application of your foundation knowledge, if not through internship. So it's the experience that you have gained, So that could be through these mini projects. It could be through internships. It could be through some hackathons that you have participated in. The advantage of internship is the duration of the internship. One. And secondly, the people that you work with. So in a mini project, you might be doing by yourself. But in an internship, what would happen is you would have worked for an organization. So your future recruiter would know that, oh yeah, he's worked for an organization. So he knows what does it really mean to work for an organization, or to work in a group, or to follow ethics when he works for an organization. What is the work culture like? He's got all the idea. And that is why we recommend internships. Okay. But if unfortunately you could not do any, and right now you do not have time, I would suggest at least apply that foundation knowledge, definitely through your project, through your final year project. Secondly, see if you can participate in some hackathons or some other technical competitions where you can showcase the application of that knowledge, or some mini projects. But if you can do an internship, please do it, because it will also speak of you having understood what does it really mean to work in an organization. And that cannot be taught, that has to be experienced.
So next question is from Om. It is like declarations are compulsory to write in resume. So the declaration that the above information is true.
Yes, yes, it's must. It's like, when you submit something, you say that this is true to the best of my knowledge. This is because at times it does happen. Like I gave example of a student entering aggregate percentage, so he approximated it to the next digit as 60%, and it was 59.93. And then they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I just missed out, or my father did it, my friend did it, my brother did it, my sister did it. We've had all such things. And that is why every declaration should be there, and it should basically say that the data that you have entered is true to the best of your knowledge. And declaration is one side. Second side, whenever we say something, whenever we speak, whenever we write, we know that, our brain tells us, our heart is connected to our brain. It tells us that we are faking, we are lying, we are true. Please remain true. You will be caught if you lie. And we have seen this, day in, day out. And then some students would say, it is your mistake, you should have told us before. But you are an adult, you need to understand it. So declarations, yes, they are there. But secondly, please do not indulge into any such fake things. Most students don't. Some do it, like I said, they do it because of the fear of failure. It does happen in our society. Failure is not accepted. So they just make up something. Please don't do it.
We have a last question from Vishal. It is
Okay.
like, is learning new technology and making projects out of it counts?
Uh, Absolutely. So, Vishal, like I said, the packages that are offered, and till a couple of years ago, few company were following this philosophy. Now many follow. So they offer a package or a compensation, as we say, based on your profile. If you have a top-notch profile, you'll be offered more. If you have a basic level profile, you'll be offered less. A basic level profile, like I said, in IT would be someone who knows how to program using a couple of languages, let's say C, C++, Java, and he's able to communicate well. So reading, writing, listening, speaking. A top-notch profile would be someone who knows all this, but along with this, he has taken a crash course in, let's say, IoT, and done a small project at home, or done a mini project. He's applied that knowledge of IoT, or he's done a Coursera certification in IoT, or an internship, and so on and so forth. So in the latest technologies, because at the end of the day, what happens is recruiters, when they recruit in 6th or 7th semester. Okay, so when they recruit early for two reasons. One reason is they want to know what you're good at and what you're weak at. Whatever you're weak at, they'll conduct some kind of training or internship, and they'll make you participate. So they'll make you polished. At the institute level, we try our best, but the recruiters also do that. Secondly, they also want to create a portfolio that this year we have 800 students who have a profile like this, and they know these technologies. Then they know that, okay, with this, now we can go and talk to our customers out there and tell them that we have enough demographic dividend to do justice to the project and finish it in time and with quality outcomes. So that is why latest technologies will always be sought out. So I'm not saying that you should learn everything in AI. It's not possible for anyone. For example only. Okay. In AI, there are lots of algorithms. Let's say there is iterative learning, there's deep learning. At least learn one algorithm, program it, and apply it to some small situation. You do that, your profile will be top notch. So, like I said, multiple faces, and then the chances of higher package are more. So, recommended, provided you have time. Otherwise, you'll go for basic package. But then, believe me, the day we graduate, I've always heard students talking of this. That, sir, had I known this earlier, I would have made my profile very strong and I would have attempted for a 10 lakh. We have students. Why is our average package 4.5 and our highest package 34? Because we have few students who have built their profile to achieve that 34 lakhs package. And most of our students have a profile to achieve a package between 6 to 10 lakhs. That is how it is. So better your skill sets, stronger your profile, the chances of a higher package are more.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Professor Dr. JL Minase, sir, for guiding our students. You have a vast experience is working at America soil also, and also as an Australian soil. So I hope all this experience really gonna help us a lot. So now it's time for the break. So we need to end this session for the again we need to go ahead with the next session. So thanks a lot again, sir, and thank you all the student for listening to him. The rest questions, I can see now the 6 to 7 more question and pending, but due to the limitation of time, we will mention that in the next session. Thanks a lot, JS sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Yogesh sir. Thank you, Chetan sir. Thank you, students, for attending. Take care. Bye.
Bye.